So I wanted to show this for a second and be warned for all the elbows up crowd and the support Canadian industry. Prepare for a little shock and awe because Bell Canada, one of the largest telecommunications giants in this country, scraps Labrador high-speed internet project and plans to invest in the United States. One of the biggest telecom giants that tells us to support Canada, that we pay the most amount in cable and satellite and wireless and phones and internet, is investing in the United States. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but don't you feel like chumps now? Don't you feel like chumps that these companies are abusing you purposely? So this article, this is from APTN, which is Aboriginal television. They said Bell Canada's cancellation of a $32 million contract to expand high-speed internet and cell service on Labrador's north coast comes as the telecommunications giant has confirmed plans to expand southward into the United States. Funny how they get angry when Elon Musk wants to bring Starlink into Canada, which would make a lot more sense because these remote communities don't have the infrastructure needed to get high-speed internet. They don't have fiber optics in, the Northwest Territories and the northern part of Canada. Understandably, that maybe, yes, satellite internet may be the best thing for them. But they shut down Elon Musk Starlink, but it's okay for a Canadian company that's subsidized by the government of Canada through tax dollars, sends their business elsewhere to the United States. After receiving millions in government subsidies for the Labrador North Wireless Broadband Project, Canada's largest communications company says it's no longer feasible to complete the expansion due to rising costs and competition. So, is Bell Canada going to give the money back? Are they going to give back the money that they've took from the Canadian government, your tax dollars, to invest into high-speed internet? No, I'm sure that's going to be pocketed to the CEOs, just like the last bailout. The last bailout that the government gave to the media. It's supposed to go to the workers, supposed to go to the camera operators and the production assistants and people that work in the media industry, but it went right to the CEOs. It went right to the CEO's pocket. On May 6th, the oh my God, I can't even say that. Nunavut government announced Bell had canceled the contract for the project, which came in the Inuit government as a shock and deep disappointment. Nunavut said Bell estimated the cost of completing the project has risen to $110 million, and that Bell's subscription numbers in the region have declined by 69%. In 2022, the project has estimated to cost $22 million, with an additional $10 million added in 2023. Bell Canada has told us that they no longer see a viable path forward for this project, which is devastating. Nunavut President Johannes Lamp said in a news release, access to reliable high-speed telecommunications is not a luxury, it's a necessity for our communities. The same day Nunavut shared news of Bell's withdrawal from the project, the company released its annual report for shareholders, get this, confirming plans to acquire American fiber internet provider Ziply Fiber. So funny that they don't have the money to invest into infrastructure for Canada, which would create jobs, which would benefit Bell Canada, which would actually contribute to this country's economy, which would be actually supporting Canada. That would be, your elbows up. But Bell Canada decided, hey, I'm just going to buy an American company and move my stuff elsewhere. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but do you feel like chumps? Do you feel duped? I hope you feel duped. I hope you feel a little bit of pit of regret right now. For anyone that did the elbows up, supporting Canadian, voted Mark Carney because he thought it was going to change. The deal is expected to close in the second half of 2025. Upon the closing of this acquisition, Bell will solidify its standing as the third largest fiber internet provider in North America, the report says. Torngat Mountains MHA, Leah Evans, says Bell's cancellation for Labrador's North Coast shows the company has no interest in investing in communications that desperately need high-speed internet and cell service. In return, she says, there will be no royalty to the company in the future. Named the only community on Labrador's North Coast with cell service, which is acquired in 2019. Rigat, Postville, Makovic, Hopedale, and Natuashit. I can't pronounce it. Currently do not have service. The project is set to include the Innu community of Natuashit, whatever. None of it. May 6 news release quotes First Nations Chief John Nui saying his community is ready and willing to work with any new partner to ensure Inuit needs are met. The government says it's working to identify alternative solutions and potential new partners to continue working on broadband communication, telecom communications services within the region. The project was first announced in 2022 when the provincial and federal governments announced more than $22.3 million in funding to bring high-speed internet to more than 1,000 homes in Labrador's remote communities. In an emailed statement to The Independent, Bell Canada says there was a 340% increase in costs over the past 4 years, and significant logistics hurdles presented by the challenging geography. The company says it can't reveal the amount of money spent on the project so far due to the confidentiality terms within the agreement. On Tuesday, the province's Department of Industry, Energy, and Technology said it had not been informed by Bell Canada of its decision to formally withdraw from the project. The department also said it is in discussions with the federal government about possible alternatives. So they're not even telling the government this, because if the government knows about this, then maybe they might investigate Bell Canada and might want to take the money back. Since you're not going to invest in high-speed internet in Northern Labrador, we're going to take that money back. We're not going to allow you to buy a U.S. company with taxpayer money if that money was supposed to go towards high-speed internet for remote Canadian communities. I have a feeling that's why they didn't tell them. Despite a 2.4% drop in annual revenues in 2024, Bell Canada's parent company, BCE, awarded executives more than $5 million after announcing it was laying off 4,800 employees. The company laid off thousands. Its stock went down by 30%, and yet the richest and most powerful continue to profit off the backs of our members, Unifor National President Leah Payne said in a statement April 3rd. So, all those subsidies they got from the government to save Canadian media that was supposed to go to the workers got screwed over to pay the executives. The executives that are deliberately destroying the reputation of Bell Canada. That's deliberately destroying the reputation. Do you see this, how this is a gimmick? Do you see why people are starting to question whether we should give more funding to the CBC, for instance? Because it's not going to the workers at CBC. It's not going towards the people on the bottom line of production. It's going towards the executives, the ones that don't care if the CBC gets ratings or not, the ones that don't care about journalistic integrity, the ones that don't care about informing the general public. They're just going to get more money from you through taxpayer subsidies from the government. And that's why they pushed Mark Carney to become prime minister. That's why they lied to you and brainwashed you, manipulated you, propagandized you to push for Mark Carney. Because they're just going to get more money out of taxpayer subsidies through that. So here's Canadian Doge. His account says, Bell Canada completely scraps Labrador high-speed internet plans to invest in USA due to rising costs and competition. After receiving millions in public funding, Bell decided it's not worth doing business. Also, Bell acquiring American company Ziply Fiber to provide business south of the border. And again, I find it so hilarious that we're wasting tax dollars, putting our monies in subsidies for these Canadian companies that keep promoting about Canada first and Canada strong. Bell Canada owns Crave, the streaming service Crave. And every time you see a commercial, oh, it's Canadian content, Canadian media. We're promoting the Canadian industry. And this is what they do. This is what they do behind your back. They say, we're not going to invest in remote communities. We're just going to take our money and invest in the South. Go towards the United States. And a lot of people reacting to this, obviously. So this guy, G Dunk, says, make it make sense. A Canadian company receiving Canadian tax dollars to bring high-speed internet to remote northern communities abandons the project after taking the tax dollars in order to expand into America. Maybe these communities should get Starlink. If you want to talk about competition in a fair market, yeah, I recommend them get Starlink. I recommend them getting Starlink. Because Canadian companies, clearly the giant telecom industry is not going to do anything for Canadians. And their service is not doing well. They're not investing into the infrastructure that keeps their business afloat. They rather just go up and buy more assets, which is causing a stir, which is why they're losing credibility, which is why their stocks are plummeting. They already had to sell off a bunch of radio stations that Bell owned, and they're still not doing well. They're still not doing well because they're not doing anything for Canada. So Canadian Doge responds, they should. Starlink is the best in remote communities. Indigenous people just ordered it and get it shipped. Nothing wrong with it. Some of them might be looking for grants, which won't come always. And here's Mobile Syrup. Again, just remind people that when Bell or Rogers or any of these big giant telecom giants reach out to the government to get more subsidies because of how we're going to impact the communities, how we're going to benefit our services, how we're going to invest into this country, just note that every time they do, it goes right to the CEOs, and Bell and other telecom giants lay off more employees, union-based employees. It's not an investment to this country. It's just giving money straight to the top to just buy up more assets so they can seize more control and they become a giant monopoly. They don't care about service. They don't care about giving quality services to their customers. It's all a transfer right to the top. All a transfer right to the top. Here's again. Bell executives award themselves more than $5 million after slashing thousands of jobs. So should we elbows up now? Should we get Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow on this? Elbows up? And the reason why Bell Canada bribed our government to give them a bunch of got our government to give them a bunch of money to do this project, and then they turn around. Just again, remember that we could have got Starlink up here. We could get other competition that is working with remote communities to provide them adequate internet service, which is a necessity at this point. In 2025, it's a necessity. A lot of people, you can't even get a job opportunity without an email address. It's a necessity. It's not a luxury. It's a necessity at this point. And as the CBC reminds us, Ontario cancels $100 million Starlink deal, leaving northern communities in digital limbo. Broadband internet will be available for all Ontarians, no matter where you are in the province, says the province. So they canceled Starlink because of their petty personal feud with Elon Musk, but they don't have an alternative to bring to northern communities. Because again, our country doesn't invest in the infrastructure. Hence why they reach out to people like Elon Musk. I don't like him either. Not a lot of people like him. He is a bit of a sellout. He's a bit of a cuck. But when you're in this situation, what other alternative is there? What other alternative is there? Because the province of Ontario, Doug Ford, hasn't provided any alternatives. He's just giving you false promises. He's giving you this false sense of hope that things are going to change. That, oh, well, we cut down this Starlink deal, and eventually people are going to get good, reliable internet all across the province. And now with Bell Canada and with all the other telecom giants, we're understandably now knowing that's not going to happen. Because these giant monopolies, these giant corporations only seek one thing. They only seek one thing. They want to take as much control of the industry, take as much control of the market as possible, become this giant monopoly, and not do anything to actually invest in the quality of service. For them, it's quantity, not quality. And they just left a huge portion of Canadian communities in northern Labrador, and I'm sure all across the northern parts of this country, left out of reliable internet, which is a necessity. It's a necessity at this point. Hey, here at Kitz Corner, we want to thank you, our viewers and our subscribers that tune into Kitz Corner for the latest dives in trending news, political conspiracies, and the craziest of stories. However, being in this business isn't an easy job. Because we're independent, we can dive into stories that the mainstream outlets are afraid to do so. But unfortunately, that doesn't give us the luxury of big advertising or government subsidies. That's why we reach out to you. You can support Kitz Corner and get some cool new threads in the process. Say what? That's right, check out our merch store, where we have a big selection of t-shirts, mugs, stickers, sweaters, bags, and more. All with interesting designs too, like this True North Strong and Free. So if you want to show off your support, go to our website at kitzcorner.net. That's kitzcorner.net. And click the store link at the top of the screen. Or you can scan the QR code provided on screen to get instant access to our merch store. Your support makes a huge difference at what we do here. So why not wear your support too? So go to kitzcorner.net or scan the QR code on your screen to get to our one-of-a-kind Kitz Corner merchandise store. Thank you, and on with the show.